Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now July 12th of 2020, and ever since the very end of the Skywalker saga, a lot of fans around the world have been very skeptical about the future of Star Wars by Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, and exactly what they plan to do with the future of the Star Wars franchise and more. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, here's the thing about Disney Star Wars, is that we do know that they are primarily focused on the new Star Wars trilogy of films that are really going to define exactly how the Star Wars franchise is going to evolve. And that's exactly what Iger and Chapek want to do, is that they want this to be an ever-evolving franchise where they are going to experiment with many different things, see what works, see what doesn't work, and whatever works, they're going to stick with that and kind of expand off of that concept and that idea. And a lot of that has to do with the new Star Wars movies so far. Now, we do know that the Skywalker saga is over, at least as far as the films go. And that not just that, they are going to be focused on a brand new mythology, not just within the movies, but also within the new Star Wars TV shows coming to Disney+. That's really going to form this new Star Wars universe that's really going to hit its peak in 2022. That's going to begin in October of this year with The Mandalorian Season 2. That's exactly what Jon Favreau is doing. He's basically going to be the very creator of the very beginning of this new universe. Now, with that being said, what's really intriguing all has to do with, of course, creator George Lucas and the new Star Wars trilogy of films, and even the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek. Now, one thing is for certain is that Chapek has really been creating an image for himself, creating his own legacy, where now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are now focused on their new Star Wars trilogy of films, as well as their new Star Wars universe. Now, currently both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek are hard at work on developing a better plan to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world. Now, it's explained that recently Bob Chapek gave George Lucas the go-ahead to become a co-writer for the new Star Wars trilogy of movies in a very significant way for fans to enjoy. Now, it's noted that George Lucas will be using tons of his original concepts for the prequel trilogy era that did not make it into the films that will be used for the new trilogy. So let's just stop right here for a second, is that using the older ideas from the prequel trilogy movies, whether it be concept art or original, story elements that were embedded within the script that are now being pushed away, or are being pushed in, I should say, into the new trilogy that were pushed away. I think that this sounds like a very interesting take by George Lucas and what he's going to be doing with it all. Now, on top of all of that, alright, it's explained that George Lucas will be using, and of course will be implementing, the Yuzong Vong in this new Star Wars trilogy as a side villain, or a new faction, if you will, for the new movies that will come from a nearby galaxy, similar to what Star Wars Legends explained about the Yuzong Vong. However, Lucas is described to want to give them a slight different appearance and design in this new mythology that takes place in a new timeline. Not just that, but also George Lucas will be bringing in the Worlds Between Worlds into the new Star Wars trilogy of movies to tap into Dave Filoni's original ideas from the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. However, it's said that primarily, this was actually created by George Lucas, that was proposed to Dave Filoni, and Filoni primarily created the visuals of what the concept of the Worlds Between Worlds would look like in Star Wars Rebels. Now, the new films are best described to be very dark in nature, and that George Lucas wants them to have a similar tone to Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. So here's the thing about all of this, is that we can see that the Yuzong Vong coming into play here for this new trilogy as a side villain. I think that's very awesome. We do know that they are going to be including Abeloth in this new Star Wars trilogy as well. That's another idea by Lucas to really make a darker turn for Star Wars, thematically, of course. When you think about everything related to George now, George, at the end of the day, just really wants the best for Star Wars fans. Of course, he's going to be a co-writer. He's not going to be the main writer, per se. He's going to be the co-writer. So he's going to be working with other writers on board of these new Star Wars films, which I think is exciting, because when you have multiple writers that are very talented, that's, I think, when you get a great Star Wars movie. If you look at, everything that has, been demonstrated in film, there have been a lot of franchises and movies out there with multiple writers on board, and they came out to be great successes. Now, The other thing that I do want to bring up here that's very important that I think a lot of fans need to know is that Kathleen Kennedy is not going to have any form of creative control or input on these new Star Wars movies. She's only involved with the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV show and the untitled animated TV series for Disney Plus that's going to be released in the next couple of years. So keep that in mind, is that George Lucas will be at the helm of all of this with no input by Kathleen Kennedy, no control by Kathleen Kennedy, and that I think is the highlight of these movies, is that we're going to finally get a sense of what Star Wars can be in theaters without Kathleen Kennedy's input. So with that being said, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.